Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. Mr. President, by your indulgence and the consent of my colleagues, I seek your permission to lead the debate on the bill for an act to establish the Families of Fallen Heroes Servicemen Support Fund and matters connected herewith 2021. If you permit, Mr. President, I will lead the debate.
Go ahead, you may proceed.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the bill was read for the first time in this revered chamber on Thursday, 18 February 2021. The main intent of this bill, Mr. President, is to, among other things, establish a fund to be known as the Families of Fallen Servicemen Support Fund, into which shall be paid all monies prescribed under the bill and monies received as donations, bequests, trusts, and contributions for the welfare of families of members of the armed forces and operatives of other security agencies who die in the line of duty, including the combat and non-combat duties. For the purpose of this bill, therefore, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, may I define families of fallen servicemen to include families of members of the armed forces and operatives of other security agencies who die in the line of duty, be it combat or non-combat death. Mr. President, my highly respected colleagues, we all know that coping with the death of loved ones is an enormous load to bear, as it sparks traumatic heartbreaks that can lead to feelings of dissertation or indignation in addition to deep poignancy. In the case of families of fallen heroes, it is even more burdensome because in any of such circumstances of the loss of a loved one, a grieving spouse may have the additional responsibility of caring for the children, helping them to cope with the loss and change in their lives, and in some cases, families of fallen servicemen further experience additional senses of loss from having to move outside of their military community, which includes a change of school for their children. The surviving spouse or other family members may suddenly become solely responsible for the family's financial situation. Mr. President, my very distinguished colleagues, may I state here that until you meet some of the families left behind by security operatives who die in the line of duty in Nigeria and witness the reality of the devastating blow the loss had dealt on them, you may never be able to appreciate what it means to take the bullet for your dear country. May I state further, Mr. President, that since the start of insurgency in Nigeria, thousands of troops have been killed by Boko Haram group, leaving behind their families in the unpredictable hands of fate. Leaders of the Military Widows Association, MIWA, stated that more than 11,000 registered members are involved, and the number keeps growing by the day. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, given the security situation in our dear country, Nigeria, it has become pertinent to enact a law that will establish a fund to take care of the welfare challenges facing the indigent families of security operatives who die in the line of duty. In return for the sacrifices of military and paramilitary members of the armed services of the Federation who died defending our dear sovereignty against internal and external aggression, Mr. President, most respected colleagues, the families they leave behind deserve our support to live confident and productive lives. Mr. President, fellow colleagues, I humbly urge all of us to support this bill and pass it accordingly, because every support received by families of our fallen heroes has a great value and translates to strengthen the security of our lives and property in our dear country, promoting peace and stability. I ask you, therefore, Mr. President and distinguished colleagues, to give your support for this bill to be read a second time. Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator
Suleiman Umar. I represent the good and decent people of Kwara North, and we all are. Mr. President, I rise to second that this bill be read for the second time. My support for this bill, Mr. President, is because of the necessity for people who take bullets for all of us, for people who make sure that we are all safe, should be shown the deserved respect and love and care. Mr. President, like the lead bid has expressly described, the trauma people who have their breadwinners falling is better imagined. Mr. President, looking at the cost and what it will entail to get this up is very, very minimal. The sacrifices of our fallen hero cannot be quantified and is far more than what it is. Therefore, Mr. President, I join my own distinguished brother who people love to describe as a former comrade. He has shown that he remains a comrade. And I'm so proud of him for bringing this bill for consideration. Thank you, Mr. President.
Those in favor that this bill be now read a second. A bill for an act to establish the Families of Fallen Servicemen Support Fund and for other related matters 2021 second reading taken, and the bill is referred to the Committee on Establishment and Public Service Matters to report back within 4 weeks. Leader of the Senate.